Thank you for tuning in once again to his Vine and Fig Tree podcast. My name is Kurt Olson. I'm your host. It is May 14, 2025. And just wanted to take an opportunity here to talk a little bit with my daughter, Olivia. Just finished her sophomore year of college. And just a couple things I just wanted to talk to her about related to some of the things she's doing at college. Let's start with YWA. Um, Talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so YWA stands for Young Women for America, and it's connected to the national organization Concerned Women for America. Um, but YWA is mainly for college campus ministry, and we talk about political and cultural issues in America, and we have representatives depending on the state where you're at. So we're in Ohio, so we have a state representative, and we have a coordinator, and it's a small group. Each group is led by a president. Our president is Maggie, and then she has her vice president, and then we have a secretary. You can just apply for those if you want to be a part of it.
Right.
But my friend and future roommate this coming year, Cameron York, she was the one who introduced me to the program. I had no
Okay.
idea it was even
A thing.
an organization on
Right.
campus. And I had no idea that she was even interested in those kind of conversations.
Right.
And so I went one night and we were talking about biblical masculinity and femininity.
Oh,
Femininity.
wow.
So it is also a conservative Christian organization. There is a
Right.
lot of they kind of overlap.
Right.
And we just meet like 2 times a month, and sometimes we do fun events, but most of the time we just talk about we talked about transgender men in women's sports.
Okay.
We've talked about the pro-life organization and the movement in America. We've talked about homosexuality and the LGBTQ plus community. We've talked a little bit about Israel and Palestine and kind of the whole conflict going on there. Um, those are just some of the things that we've talked
Okay.
about
And
this year.
for folks who don't know, Concerned Women for America was established in the late 70s in San Diego, California by Beverly LaHaye. That is a name that I think some people should be familiar with. Her husband was Tim LaHaye. Tim LaHaye was a pastor and also the author of the Left Behind series. That is the book, and Tim LaHaye wrote several books, but that is the one that he became most famous for. The storyline involving a series of books that dealt with the book of Revelation and the return of Christ and the Antichrist and all of that. And Bev LaHaye, a couple of things I can share about her. Bev LaHaye was a longtime trustee at Liberty University, my alma mater, and she died just a little over a year ago, April 2024. So that kind of gives you a little bit of background on Concerned Women for America. But they've been active in American politics for all of the Reagan years and moving forward. And the groups like Moral Majority and the Christian Coalition, they did a lot of establishing alliances, and Concerned Women for America would have been one of the groups that they teamed with back in those days. Um, so so you guys, just a few of the young women on campus at this time. Obviously, hoping the group gets bigger and there can
We're
be a
we're planning events in for next year, and we're hoping to get more people. There's a little bit of things going on with the official org status. We're trying to figure that all out, but our president is trying to
Right.
move that along. Um, but because of that, it is a very small group. There's probably about 6 or 7 of us that consecutively come weekly, and
So that's basically the core right now.
yeah, there are some of the girls who major in political science or international studies or
Okay.
international relations, but Cameron, myself, and then another girl, we're all primary education majors.
Okay.
There's a girl in communications.
Right.
So it's not just for political
Science
science
majors or
majors
people
or people
who
in history and government.
right. So there's people of a variety of interests. So and obviously there's a whole pocket of well-known females that could be invited to campus, and hopefully that is something that you ladies are able to pull off there. That would be a really nice catch if you're able to pull off.
And
Uh,
Cedarville has Turning Point USA. We have
right.
a org.
That
So I think we did a worship night with Turning Point, our Students for Life organization, and YWA. So
gotcha.
we've done things like that in the past.
Gotcha. Okay. So that kind of gives me a nice segue to something else I wanted to talk about with you. So folks who probably don't know where Cedarville University is. I mean, when people hear of Christian universities in this country, a lot of people will think automatically of Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. There's a slew of Christian colleges, and Cedarville is among them. And Cedarville's over 100 years old, well over 100 years old, and built in the middle of a cornfield, um, about 30 miles east of Dayton. And if you know where Dayton is in southwest Ohio, you have the nearby cities to Cedarville would be Springfield to the east. You've got
We're about an hour from Columbus.
hour from Columbus. Further to the east, you got Dayton about 30 miles the other way. Xenia's a little bit the other way as well. The other cities that are close by would be like Beaver Creek and Fairfield and Fairborn, um, places like that. So talk about how the college has grown a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so. Sam went to Cedarville in 2021.
Right, fall 21.
And his when he was there, the student population, including both undergrad and graduate, was a little over 4,000. Now we're over 6,000 and growing every year. We just had the biggest incoming freshman class, and they say that every year.
Right.
Like when I went to Cedarville in 2023, we were the biggest
You were the
class,
biggest class.
and then
When
the next one,
24 arrived, it happened again.
and I think we've got another large freshman class coming in.
Okay, so
But we've been doing. They've been there. Cedarville's whole thing is about, as a student on Cedarville's campus, you're going to spend, if you're a 4-year student, which most people are, you're going to spend about 1,000 days on campus.
right,
And so they have this campaign called 1,000 Days,
right,
and it's based off of the verse in Psalm 90, where David writes about numbering our days.
right,
And
right,
they believe, and they want us to they want to instill in us this idea of like taking your time seriously, um, doing a variety of different things while you're on campus, not just school,
right.
but being involved in different ministries, different
And
opportunities.
let's Cedarville's a small town. I mean, it's not your kind of classic college town.
No.
Okay, so close by, Houghton's pretty small as well. You have to go out from Houghton to go to bigger places. But Yeah, if the kids want to do anything like shop or movies or things like that, they have to go to Springfield, Xenia, Beaver Creek, those kinds of
Yeah,
cities.
Cedarville's very small, but like it's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody.
Yeah,
Like very
yeah.
homey. Like the people there are super sweet, and there's a cute little town square. And this
And
year we've done a bunch of different things down there
and
as a
Cedarville is
campus.
known basically for the university.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah. Everybody coming in, they're like, oh, you must be part of the university.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the staff members live in town, and like the professors and stuff like that.
Right.
But Cedarville over the past few years has been doing a lot of renovations on campus.
Right.
Last year we opened our Scharnberg Business and Communications Center, which is a huge building, and I don't even know. I think it was like $30 million or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And they get donors, people who have gone to Cedarville and have realized the impact it has made, and they want to kind of help. So a
They're
lot of it is donor money.
right. They're trying to limit their use of loans
But
on these buildings.
we every year that money kind of goes up because more people are invested into the university, and currently this summer they're going to take down one of the buildings that houses the School of Education, the School of English, and then School of Psychology, and they're going to start building an academic center. It's
For
like
those majors.
for those majors. Yeah, it's called the Bolt House Academic Learning Center, I believe, and it is I don't even I it's over $15 million. It's going to be like
And
there's a rotunda.
and let's be clear, you probably won't be able to take advantage of that
No, it
because you have two
opens
more years left.
it opens fall of 2027 and I'm graduating spring of 2027.
Okay,
So,
so
I won't get to see it,
those after you will be able to take advantage of
but
that.
yeah, Cedarville is definitely growing.
Okay,
More and more people, even people
so
around here, are coming to Cedarville. I've met many people who are familiar with the area, even professors,
right,
which is just interesting to
yeah,
me.
yeah, and yeah, and so they're down in the southwest corner of the state of Ohio, and it is regarded as one of the Southern Baptist colleges, kind of like Liberty University. Um, and I'm sure a lot of folks at Cedarville probably regard themselves the non-Liberty um, version
Yeah, I actually,
because Liberty is massive in
yeah,
size.
and we don't want to be like them in certain ways. But I actually had a girl in my hall this year. She lives in Lynchburg,
Oh wow, that's interesting.
went to Liberty Christian Academy, and decided, I've been here my whole life.
I don't want to do
I'm
this.
not going to Liberty
Yeah.
University, and she chose Cedarville, which I
So
thought was kind of interesting.
yeah, that is very interesting. So, anyways, so it's probably fair to say then that the the prominent denomination, and obviously you probably don't know this by hand, but my guess is you could probably go to some office and they'd be able to rattle off an idea of the various spiritual denominations and where kids are coming from. It's probably fair to say Southern Baptist probably fairly prominent,
Hmm.
or people with a Baptist or Reformed theology background.
Yes.
So, and I know this was the case at Liberty. I mean, we'd Pentecostals at Liberty. We had a group of them. Um, is that the case at Cedarville as well?
Potentially. I know people who say like they have friends that go to more Pentecostal churches, but I've never heard a message, or like we have chapel 5 days a week. I've never heard a message from anybody from Cedarville that I've been like, I don't agree with that
That reminds
theologically.
me. That reminds me of something that might be,
Like,
charismatic theology.
yeah, or also part of Cedarville's like they have a huge focus on biblical integration. When you're a student at Cedarville, you have to take a Bible minor.
Right.
So you have um, Bible and the Gospel, which is basically just an introductory to Scripture,
Right.
and then you take Old Testament literature, New Testament literature, and then Theology 1 and Theology 2.
Right.
So when you graduate with whatever major you have, you also get that Bible minor attached to that.
Right.
So
So,
there's a huge focus on that, and none of my professors I've ever been like,
wow.
they're out there.
How did that person sneak in
They
here?
definitely brought things to my attention that I've never thought about before, or they've said it in a way that I've never heard before.
Right.
That has brought up like conversation, but I've never felt like, oh, that's like heresy.
Right.
I shouldn't be
Or
here.
that's nothing I've ever heard in the Baptist churches where we've attended.
Yeah. And I
Right,
know
right,
some of them, there's a church, there's so many churches in Cedarville, but there's a church like right down the road called Grace Baptist Church. And I know a lot of professors in the biblical studies,
right.
they all
Yeah,
go to that church.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And but talk about one of your church. I mean, you visited one church and you thought it was a little too mega church for you.
Yeah, I went to a church in Springfield. So, my freshman year, my brother was with me, and we were going to this one church, a Baptist church, but we weren't connecting with anybody.
Right.
There was,
Yeah.
it's not like the type of church where people, you like get greeted at the door, but nobody like comes up to you and is welcoming. So, one of my roommate that year, my freshman year, I went to church with her because my brother wasn't feeling well one of the Sundays, and had no idea what the church like. I knew the name of it, but I didn't know anything about it. And the building was huge. And we walked in, and I felt like I was in a bigger church. And I'm so used to like
So,
the small community
right. So,
churches.
the sanctuary set guests. Do guesswork. How many?
You could
Are we talking
easily
2 grand? A
no.
thousand?
I feel like it would be 1,000 or a
Okay.
little bit more.
So you're talking about 1,000 people. Was it a multi-site campus?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But like Christian artists had gone there to perform concerts. Like I think what was it, like Ryan Stevenson or something? He did a concert there. A
Okay.
few other artists have
So
done concerts there. So it
so
is a
yeah, I mean,
bigger.
and for a concert to be at a church, it has to have a little bit of size to it. So,
Yeah.
so there's that, but obviously there's smaller churches as well. And for uh, full disclosure, I have a cousin in the Springfield, Ohio area on my dad's side, and her husband is a pastor, Brian Miller, and I mentioned them a couple weeks ago when I mentioned some things when we visited Olivia at Easter time, and um, Liv has found some students who she can get to Berea Bible Church with, and church has done a lot of stuff to reel you guys in and you ladies,
Yeah.
and
It
make you feel at
it
home.
makes
And
me think of the church back home at Hill, like being at Hillcrest, the people. Um, it's been a huge blessing to know that I have other people outside of Cedarville that I can
right,
go to,
right, right,
and
right,
I can also be a part of the church
right.
ministry wise.
Okay, so okay, so there's that. So one of the things we have seen on college campuses, especially since October 23, when Hamas, uh, this very sophisticated attack on Israel, the Nova Music Festival, a variety of kibbutzes in various locations in southern Israel, 12, 13, 1,400 people killed. And to this day, we're talking 500 to 600 days of people held hostage. And there aren't many hostages that are still alive. And this comes just yesterday or the day before the very last American was released by Hamas. And I wanted to just ask my daughter. I mean, with all of this stuff happening at Columbia, Harvard, Cornell, Princeton, Yale, uh, a lot of the Ivies, and you'll hear stuff at UCLA and Stanford and Northwestern and some of the other really expensive state colleges across this country. Um, has there ever been a whiff at Cedarville University of talk of protest? And when I say protest,
Mm-hmm.
protesting on behalf of Hamas,
Mhm.
protesting on behalf of Palestinians. Any sign of pet a Palestinian flag or someone wearing one of those kiffas. Um, has there ever been anything like that?
Not to my knowledge. Actually, just the complete opposite. I feel like Cedarville is very pro-Israel, and just when everything happened on October 7th, after that, there was an announcement made in chapel. They had prayer meetings for
Okay,
Israel. It was all student led.
right?
We have a rock on campus. It's the famous Cedarville rock. It's literally a huge rock,
Yes,
and
we've had many pictures taken with that rock.
it gets spray painted pretty much every day,
Right.
and multiple times there's been the Israel flag on the rock.
Okay, and and to be clear, Scripture does encourage Christians to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And does that mean Israel is perfect in everything that they do? No. Just like America is not perfect in everything it does. But when there are terrorist proxy organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, or Houthis, whatever, however they're pronounced, um, doing a variety of things directed at Israel, any nation under attack would do something to defend itself, um, and would have every right to do so. But when Israel does those kinds of things, you have an awful lot of people that go, oh, what, how dare you? Well, yeah, they've been launching balloons at us for how long? So, anyways, so so what is it? Just purely, do you think, uh, a support for Israel that is the cause of no protests like that? I mean, what would you peg it on?
I think one thing, we have a lot of international students. So I think
Okay,
I don't think we have any Israeli students, but I know we have students from like the Middle East.
okay,
And all of them that I've seen, Cedarville has changed them, their perspective on things, the way they view God. I mean, they're like going back to their home countries and
right,
telling their family about Christ. I think that's part of it. And I think the other part of it is like we understand the significance of Israel from scripture.
right,
Like they're God's people.
right,
Every time I think of Israel, I think like this is where like Jesus walked with his disciples and the
right,
miracles he performed. So I
right.
feel like there's like a significance there that we understand is like very powerful. Um
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I have seen, I mean, there've been people that have taken a map of the country and and color coded, tracked where protests are happening and where protests haven't happened. And the interesting dynamic is pretty much colleges that are like 50 grand, 40 grand, 30 grand and cheaper, you aren't seeing protests. The higher price colleges, the elite of the elite, the ones that are 60, 70 or higher, thousand a year, um, they have been the locations of some of these protests. So,
and that's
uh,
something that YWA is very clear on our stance against the whole Israel and Palestine. They're very much pro-Israel.
right, right, and so a good conversation here with my daughter. Just talking a little bit about this group that's connected with Concerned Women for America and where she attends school and
And it's encouraging because I know a lot of females don't talk about politics or
right,
cultural. A lot of women I know, they're like, ah, I don't like politics. I want to stay out of
uh,
that. And I argue, I understand with the way politics has kind of transformed culture, but I also understand that like we're adults and we need to know what's going on in the
right,
world and have our own say.
and and having lived with your dad, um, Yeah,
Yes.
as I like to tell people, if you don't like politics, guess what? It doesn't care. Politics is about policy, and policy is about people. And if you don't like politics, because let's face it, everything in our culture today is has turned political and almost insanely political. Um, but there are things that are going to affect you whether you like it or not. I mean, right now, as we are sitting here at a table at the Castle Olson in Chautauqua County, um, we have the Congress debating a tax bill that's going to affect everyone, and yes, older people, but certainly young adults who are in college. They will be affected by this at some point, whether they like it or not. And
There are times some of us have differing views, but it's never been like we hate each other.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one thing to see something from a different perspective. It's a very different thing. Pardon me, to take the perspective, well, I disagree with you and I get to cancel you, destroy
Right.
you.
Yeah. It is it is something that one I didn't even know existed, and two has been a really good way to hear other people's perspectives
Right,
on things
right,
happening.
yeah,
And I've met some of my closest friends through IWA, and actually this semester three of us, our president Maggie, myself, and my friend Jenna, we all had to take a class for our global elective credit at Cedarville, and it was called Global Issues. And it literally is all about current issues. And we talked a lot about Israel and Hamas. I learned a lot about like the Hezbollah and the Houthis and the
yeah.
terrorist organizations in Yemen and Jordan and all over that are attacking Israel. So having that and then having this conversation, it really like deepened my understanding of kind of some of the things that are going on. We talked about a lot of different things in that class, including recently right before we left, like COVID-19, and I was like, oh boy.
Yep.
So it was definitely an eye opening experience in a class that I really enjoyed. And the professor, one, he's British.
Oh, Doer's British.
British, yeah, Doer's British.
Wow.
So he made it super engaging. He was really funny, and
And,
he always related it back to scripture, no
and
matter what.
there's that, and he also serves as a councilman in Beaver Creek, Ohio.
Yes.
So, anyways, that's all I have for this week. Thanking my daughter for her time. And just a reminder that the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Um, Dropping a column on Sunday on one of my favorite obsessions, NCIS.
Ah,
And
yes.
and and until next time, God bless and goodbye.
Bye.